Yuziu's entire body erupted with a terrifying aura. He was surrounded by a stream of golden spiritual energy. His eyes filled with killing intent as he stared straight at the Great Emperor, and he roared, "Great Emperor, you must pay a heavy price for what you have done!" The Great Emperor did not back down. His blazing red eye looked at him, his body radiating terrifying spiritual energy as he roared, "Exotic tree!" The two ultimate spiritual energies, one golden and one red, collided, creating a massive explosion. A blinding light spread across the sky, and waves rippled across the lava surface below. The Great Emperor transformed the crimson arm with sharp claws and lunged towards Yuziu. The arm rapidly extended, approaching Yuziu's position with incredible speed. With a muffled sound, the Great Emperor's fist collided with the massive hand created from Yuziu's tree roots. Seeing his attack blocked, the Great Emperor, inside his true form, immediately lifted his foot and stomped down hard. His entire body enveloped in a pale red spiritual energy, he shouted, "Die!" At the same moment, the Great Emperor's large, heavy true-form foot suddenly shattered the space and stomped down with a thud. Yuziu quickly raised his hand to brace, preventing the colossal foot from crushing his body. Simultaneously, he used the skill, Tree Root. Countless long roots from his true form suddenly shot out with astonishing speed. The Great Emperor waved his hand, activating the skill, Flesh Beast Shield. Massive, crimson tentacles immediately formed, wrapping around him for protection. Yuziu frowned. He looked at him with sharp eyes and roared, "Don't you dare block this move!" As soon as he finished speaking, his roots suddenly merged into one. Like a drill, it pierced straight into the tentacle shield the Great Emperor had created. The root penetrated the shield and stabbed directly into the Great Emperor's body standing inside, forcing him to strain to resist the attack. After this strike, countless cracks suddenly appeared on the Great Emperor's body. He was startled, his eyes wide in astonishment. Seemingly unable to believe that Yuziu had managed to injure him to this extent in just 2 moves. In a flash, Yuziu seized the opportunity and lunged in front of the Great Emperor, who was still startled and dazed. He clenched his hand into a fist, his arm wrapped in pale golden spiritual energy, and shouted, "Great Emperor, take a punch from me!" The next second, the Great Emperor took a direct hit to the cheek, causing his face to contort. With a crash, the Great Emperor's body was sent plummeting from above by Yuziu's punch, turning into a streak of golden light that fell straight into the sea of lava below. In the sea of lava, the Great Emperor's body continued to sink deep into the bottom. When he stabilized his body, he immediately waved his 2 hands, shattering the lava that enveloped him. Yuziu stood high above, looking down at the Great Emperor. Countless tentacles appeared around him, carrying spiritual energy spheres of various colors. Not giving the Great Emperor time to react, those tentacles suddenly unleashed the spiritual energy they had just accumulated. The streams of spiritual energy converged in one place and struck the golden lava sea below. The spiritual energy streams shot deep into the sea surface, causing the water to surge violently. The next second, they simultaneously struck the Great Emperor's body, leaving him no time to react. The Great Emperor screamed in agony, his eyes wide. "Ay!" A massive hand suddenly emerged from the sea of lava. Immediately after, a sleek black tail also surfaced from behind. Finally, the exotic beast head of the Great Emperor appeared. He opened his mouth wide and roared. The Great Emperor had transformed into a new shape. He said in a guttural voice, "Since the universe appeared, I have existed. I will never die." At the same moment, Yuziu's body was suddenly surrounded by roots. Yuziu quickly transformed into a different shape. His colossal body stomped hard on the lava sea, causing the surface to violently shake. He narrowed his eyes, looked at the Great Emperor, and replied, "I've heard countless words about immortality and indestructibility. In the end, those who spoke those words to me no longer have life." As soon as he finished speaking, Yuziu immediately used Fire Dance Drunken Wings. Countless blazing golden spiritual energy beams suddenly appeared around him. Yuziu controlled them to fly straight towards the enemy with incredible speed. With a crash, the sea surface where the great emperor was standing suddenly exploded, and layers of dense smoke billowed up high. The great emperor stretched out his neck and rushed out from within the thick smoke. He opened his mouth wide and roared furiously. Roar! The next second, he immediately used Triple Claw Strike as a counterattack. 3 blazing red spiritual energy beams tore through the space and shot out. They struck straight into Yuziu's body, who was standing not far away. Yuziu frowned, startled. His body was suddenly cut into several pieces by the great emperor's spiritual energy. Yuziu used absolute evolution. Innumerable roots unexpectedly grew out of his body and shot forward. These roots instantly wrapped around the great emperor's body and coiled tightly, forming a cocoon. The next second, Yuziu's body, originally in the form of a big tree, suddenly transformed into a giant dragon, coiling tightly around the great emperor, making it impossible for him to escape. Yuziu gathered spiritual energy in his mouth. He used the dragon's breath to unleash a terrifying spiritual energy beam, which struck directly at the great emperor bound beneath him. The great emperor's body was eroded by the spiritual energy, revealing patches of raw red flesh. He roared in pain. "Ay!" The great emperor's eyes widened in disbelief. "This flame is burning my soul?" He suddenly opened his mouth wide and shot out countless tentacles, blazing red like fire. These tentacles pierced directly through Yuziu's body, who was standing in front of him. The tentacles struck Yuziu backward, passed through his body, and stabbed into the ground, causing a dense cloud of dust and smoke to rise. The great emperor seized this opportunity, transforming into a streak of red light and flying straight into the sky. He looked down at Yuziu from above. The next second, he suddenly narrowed his eyes, his face vicious, and roared, "Go die!" As soon as he finished speaking, the great emperor immediately released a spiritual energy beam carrying world-destroying power downwards. The spiritual energy beam aimed straight at Yuziu and lunged forward. Yuziu was unable to react and took the full force of the attack. He cried out in pain. With a muffled crash, the spiritual energy beam pierced through Yuziu's body and struck the ground below, causing a fierce tremor. The enormous mountain was suddenly split in half by the great emperor's terrifying spiritual energy, and rocks and dust flew up wildly. From the deep, dark pit below, a cold light suddenly appeared. The great emperor was somewhat caught off guard, struck by the powerful spiritual energy shooting up from below, and he screamed in agony. This is the end of the video. Catch the next chapters on the Kappa-sama YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe to support me. Thank you all very much.